So, hello everybody. Welcome to this webinar hosted by MeGuide Consulting. We're talking about 2025 planning. We're coming toward the end of the first month of the year, and if your careers or anything like my careers have been over the years, you probably haven't completed or even maybe started 2025 planning, and your manager's sending you a letter an email every other day saying, "Where's my marketing plan? Where's the financial plan? Why haven't we changed this?" So hopefully this webinar is going to help you to overcome that challenge. If you haven't started, if you have started, to refine your plan for the coming year. Of course, plans are there to be refined every month, every quarter. And we've got a great team. The whole MeGuide Consulting team is here with us. I'll allow them to introduce themselves in a moment. Firstly, I'll introduce myself. Hello, I'm Aziz. I am founder of Kush Digital, and I will be hosting this webinar. I have my co-host Mohammed Al-Haj with me because it's a webinar and things go wrong, so you always have to have a co-host. So Mohammed, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Aziz. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you all. My name is Mohammed Al-Haj, and I will be here as a co-host of the webinar, and I'm a part of the MeGuide Consultant marketing team.
Thank you. Muayyad.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar, and it's nice to see you all. I am Wayed. I'm organizational development and management consultant at MeGuide. I guess that's enough.
Yeah, that's more than enough. Thank you so much, Muayyad. We're going to hear a lot more from you shortly. Ihab?
Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Ihab Mbabi. I'm the general manager of MeGuide Consulting, and I'm also the financial management consultant at MeGuide. Thank you.
Thank you, Ihab. Miqdad?
Hello, everyone. Pleasure having you here. I'm Miqdad. I'll be tackling all your supply chain concerns and answering all your questions. Welcome on board, and let's hope for a fruitful discussion.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mirdad. And finally, Mohammed Alim. So Mohammed Alim, if you want to introduce yourself and also take a moment to tell everyone who's joined all about MeGuide Consulting, how it started, what you are doing at the moment, and what you guys specialize in.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Aziz. Thank you, Mohammed, for hosting us, for being the host and co-host. I would like to thank everybody who's here. And, we are MeGuide. I'm Mohammed Alim. I'm the co-founder of MeGuide. You just met our team partners. MeGuide is a consultancy focusing on the region, MENA region. We're specializing in helping businesses overcome their challenges and reach their full potential. My colleagues who I already met, each one of them is bringing his own experience, his own expertise in a specific part of the business. So we have a unique blend that we're together, we can ensure and help all our clients or our partners achieving their goals. What we differentiate other consultancies that we do not look at our clients as only customers. We are partners, we are their growth partners.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you.
All right, great. Let's jump straight into it. So let's start in the retail sector as Miqdad is here with us. So I think that there are so many challenges that come up within the retail sector over the years. I think probably the biggest seismic challenge that appeared in recent times, in all of our memories, in all of our careers, has been COVID. But what do you think, Miqdad, are going to be the biggest supply chain challenges for the retail sector in 2025, and what are the main drivers to rising costs in 2025, do you think?
Okay. Hi, everyone. So looking at retail business or business in general, and looking back 3-4 years ago, the norm now is that disruption is the norm, and it's not a case of something that happens rarely, or it happens quite often. And you can see, if you look back to COVID, post-COVID, and the geopolitical landscape, the Houthis problem in Red Sea affecting shipping routes, the change in Syrian government. There is so much happening. So previously, companies usually used to plan for 5-6 years ahead, and then try to set a stable and sustainable supply chain. Something is popping up. Okay. Currently, the most challenge is that you need to be adaptable. You need to have a supply chain that is agile, that you can tackle these disruptions. And yeah, I think this is the biggest challenge of our time. So yeah, the change that happens during 1 year usually used to take a decade to happen previously. And yeah, in general, for retail business and for companies in general, previously, as people used to look at supply chain as a back end warehouse, just supplying the business with goods, especially in retail business, and that's not the case now. Yeah, if you look at the incidents look at COVID, for example, the impact that it had on consumer behavior, on the buying behavior, is quite significant. It completely changed the market. So the most important tip that we usually give our clients is that you need to be agile, and you need to keep in mind your customers. So you need to adapt your supply chain and your business as a whole in order to meet the changing demands of your customers and of the market. So there are many operational strategies that you can adopt, but in reality, what will benefit each business is understanding the market and then tailoring those operational strategies into what serves your customers best. Back to your question of what operational strategies would be recommended. We can segment the supply chain. We can look at operation strategies starting from demand management, going to warehousing, and then up to the extreme upstream of supply chain. So start with demand management, develop operation strategies that helps you best serve your customer. And yeah, I think everybody is now talking about AI and the role of the technology and so on. You need to have an open mind, and you need to be ready to leverage whatever technology that comes at you. So in that segment, or demand management segment, is very important, and I guess it will have a crucial role in the upcoming 2 years. If you look at demand planners, what they're trying to do is their basic role will be gathering information from the market and analyzing the information and coming up with a perfect demand forecast. Perfect demand forecast means better inventory management, means better sourcing, and then reduction of cost overall. So AI in that area will serve you in freeing up some time for the demand planners, for them to ask questions that they have never asked before. Try to add more variable analysis of the information and so on. Then you have to, for retailers, specifically in the area of in their area of operation, the most important thing is inventory management, because basically what you do is the major cost that comes to them within their control would be inventory management. So in that area, how do you put it? The best operation strategy to implement that would be to have how do you call it? So you need to optimize your inventory management. Use things like just in time or lean inventory management practices and so on. In supply chain as a whole, in sourcing and so on, you need to try to streamline your operations. You need to diversify your sources and so on. But in essence, the most important thing is that you try to develop a system where you optimize the entire supply chain, starting from demand up to sourcing. And we can go into detail, but I don't want to take too much time.
Yeah, we could use that. We could take the whole webinar just on this topic, right? No, like,
Yeah.
and it's because I'm of the age where I can remember, like, I think three major things, that sort of jumped out for me in what you were saying. So I'm of the age where I can remember, firstly, that supply chain procurement, that whole part of the organization was just an efficiency cost center. It had very little strategic value. And so I think one of the main things that comes out from what you're saying is that actually supply chain as strategy has almost become the norm now, particularly post-COVID. Like supply chain as strategy or supply chain leading strategy is sort of a point of differentiation for a lot of organizations in a lot of industries, and it's been proven to show how valuable that can be. I think the second thing that really jumped out to me is the same that we hear across all industries and all verticals. AI is disrupting everything. AI is changing everything, and it's kind of a moving feast. You've got to the existing models work and it will be optimized through artificial intelligence. But at some point, maybe new models will appear also through that set. And like you said, staying on top of those changes is going to be super high value. And then the third thing, which is what I want to come to Muayyad with, which was really profound, I think. You said at the start, disruption is now the norm. And I think that that's a really profound statement, because again, I can remember when the things that have just happened in the last 3 months would be a decade's worth of news. And it's just happening so fast, and it's all so dramatic and so impactful. And I think that your overarching message of agility within supply chain is really valuable. And it kind of brings me to the rest of the organization, which is why I want to bring Muayyad in. And maybe Muayyad, you can talk from an organizational strategy perspective. What are the trends that you're expecting to see in 2025? Bearing in mind that disruption is the norm, is kind of I think across all verticals, including staffing disruption, including ability to get to work disruption. We've kind of gone through the whole cycle of work from home, work from office, work from home, work from office. So I'm interested, Muayyad, what do you think are the big topics for 2025 in organizational strategy?
If I started talking about organizational strategy and organizational development and the big trends on it, we're gonna need to have more than one webinar about that. But we're talking right now with we're coming to a new generation of technologies and benefiting from other technologies and skills and so on to be ready, or as Mirdad mentioned, we need to be agile to grasp on these technologies. And one of the biggest trends in the organizational development, we have a huge gap generation between the current workforce that is currently in the market. We talk about Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, millennials, and also all are all in the market, in the job market, and the way that they tend to work is completely different. For example, we could say all generations might prefer working from office and having typical 9 to 5 jobs. New generations might think of it on a different way. Old generation might think about, for example, the profits, the benefits that they can get, or the paycheck that they're going to get at the end of the month, and how does it translate to their own personal life. But for example, one of the things that companies can look for in the future and in 2025 on how to improve the employee engagement and what is the future of work would look like. One of the biggest topics that are currently happening right now is like what they say, the deskless workers or something like that, and also how to which not benefit, but more like using the AI to benefit the employees themselves, and how to ease the whole employee journey from hire to retire, or yeah, and how these are connected actually to the other businesses, to the supply chain, to the finance, to the whole strategy of the company, going from the digital strategy to supply chain strategy to business development and other situations. So for me, it's like one of the things that could actually help organizations in 2025 and in the future is to leverage the AI, for example, in the talent acquisition, leveraging the ATS, even though it's kind of unfair to some of the applicants, but you can still bypass some of the ATS limitations by
Yeah.
implementing some of the AI technologies. Also, leveraging the AI in the employee experience in general. For example, why would I go, if I look back a year ago or 2 years ago, we can use a system to do whatever HR service that I wanted to do. But now thinking about it, why am I even opening a system just to do some clicks to request, for
Yeah.
example, for a time off? Well, I can just chat with an AI and ask for a time off, and then it gives me answers and creates everything for me. So people can leverage that to have a better employee experience. And I would say this is one of the things that the new generations would actually be looking for,
I think
to
it's going to
have a
be, it's almost not so much looking for. I think it's going to be just a standard. It's going to be like one of those things where if you don't have these kinds of internal solutions, then you're just not an attractive place to work. But I want to ask a couple of follow-on questions, if that's okay, Mayed. So, um, you mentioned how you can use AI to bypass the ATS sometimes, and I think a lot of people aren't even aware that applicant tracking systems exist. What they think, I think a lot of people, when I have conversations with them and they're applying for roles, what they think happens is that there's somebody sat at a desk waiting for their email to come in, and they send their email with their CV, and they're like, I've got a CV, and they open the CV and they read the CV and they're like, wow, this guy's great, but no, I'm going to print it and throw it in the bin. But of course, that's not at all what happens. So maybe you could explain what an ATS is and how you think AI is going to impact ATSs in the future.
Simply, ATS is application tracking system where people can apply and then it tracks the application in general. The job description or the job post that you have, the ATS will try to figure out certain points of skills that you're looking for. Let's not just talk about skills. Let's just talk about work environment or cultural thing that they're looking for. So it scans the CV, it scans for keywords, for example. And once these keywords are matched with the CV, then it gets passed by the CV, by the ATS, and then instead of being automatically rejected, it goes to the employee or the HR or the recruiter who is going to screen the CVs more to find a better fit.
Yeah, fantastic. I just want to stick with you for one more, if that's okay, Moeed, because I think you touched on it yourself, like how you think uh, sort of organizational behaviors are going to change with the advent of AI from an HR perspective. But as you both mentioned, disruption is the norm, and so one of the key I think one of the key drivers for organizational success in the next 5 years is going to be the ability of organizations to develop strategies of resilience and to keep teams motivated. So, what do you think are like the main strategies? Look, I know that you could talk about this for like 3 or 4 days because it's your job. So, but maybe if you could like summarize just a few key strategies that organizations can keep in mind, particularly when it comes to building resilience and driving motivation.
As I mentioned, then like the strategies that we could, for example, use or leverage in 2025 and the future to have better organizational strategies and match it with the bigger strategy and the purpose of the company. I wouldn't summarize it, but I have like 6 points that I consider is they are important in that in the current time, which is to have like as I mentioned the generational gap and so on. We need to like a company, especially startups and SMEs. They need to have a compelling employer brand because some people care about the impact that you're going to have and the purpose of that company and what impact that they could provide for that certain company, as well as I've been talking since earlier. We need to prioritize the employee experience to have a seamless interaction from A to Z. Why would I go print a paper and so on? Or why would I even go to a system and click a few clicks and goes to someone and then he clicks approve and gets back to me and then I send it and so on, while I could do that with only chat. So we need to prioritize that as well. The impact of focusing on the employee well-being. That's one of the biggest trends in the current jobs in general. So people might even look for how would I say a work environment that provides them with better for better work-life balance, flexible working hours, hybrid working environment, because working from home all the time, to some people it's good, but on the long run, it will lead to burnout. And working 9 to 5 every day from the office, it will also lead to burnouts. So introduce the hybrid working environments, having a day or two at the office, 3 days at home, or however you would like your company to do. Also, you could decrease, for example, the working days. As we have seen in some of the countries, they have reduced the working days to 4 days and the productivity has increased. And one of the things also is that how would I say, focusing on the benefits or having more like customized benefits to people. For example, offering mental health consultation for employees for free.
Yeah.
That would be something compelling to some of the talents that you want to attract. And the last two things is that invest in the employees and the talents that you have by upskilling their current skills or reskilling to adapt to the new challenges and to be agile, to have the new technologies and to embed them. And the last thing is the investing in AI and data to have more informed decisions.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And if I started talking about each topic alone, I would not stop.
Yeah, and actually I kind of I kind of want to hear more about all of those things as well. But you're right, we have got a lot to go through. But I think again, you've touched on some really important points. And like Hadil said in the chat, a lot of people think that employee branding is just an external thing. But if you really think about what your organizational internal brand looks like, it's what your people do, how they behave. And so a couple of things, like I remember my first like real job, because I had a lot of non-jobs before I was at university. But after I graduated, I got my first real job. It was a company called lastminute.com. It was the first billion-dollar .com business. And as an employee benefit, they had a masseuse come to the office every Tuesday, and you can get a shoulder massage. And when I was at the time, we used to talk about that as if it was like a really, wow, look how cool lastminute.com is, because you can have a massage at the office. But actually it was kind of toxic, because what it was essentially saying was that you're going to be at your desk 15 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, and you're going to need to have your shoulders massaged. And so it kind of backfired on the organization to a bit. But one of the things that you did mention, which I think I have done in the past, and I do at my current company too, is offering everybody free mental wellness consultation. So hiring, in when we were in Sudan, we actually hired a full-time organizational psychologist, and she worked with the company and she worked with the individuals. And we have a similar thing now in our offices too, where people can just and I think that just helps people individually, because there's no benefit, there's no upside to the company except for the employee well-being, and actually that's kind of more important than everything else. That's all we really care about, isn't it? There's some really, really good tips. So we're going to jump topic in a moment, but before I do, the chat is open. If you've got any questions, please drop them into the chat, and we will we'll get to them hopefully. I'm also gonna pop up a poll as well, and I may pop up a few polls as we go. So if you see a poll pop up, please take a minute just to answer it. It's all anonymous. We don't get to see who said what, so take a moment to answer those polls. So I want to jump into finance, because we're talking about, specifically we're talking really about employee well-being, and a lot of people on the call and a lot of people who are watching this are going to be from SMEs. Just in terms of the volume of people who engage in webinars, there's a lot of sort of SMEs, and I think as the owner of an SME that's registered in 2 countries, I think one of the biggest challenges that I find is staying on top of the regulatory frameworks in each each country, in the UAE, and in Egypt, and hopefully, inshallah, in Saudi Arabia this year too. So, Ihab, maybe you could give us some insights or some tips on how can SMEs just stay on top of financial regulations in 2025 and beyond.
Okay, hello again, everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so basically, catching up to all the regulation changes, especially that, like everyone was saying, the disruption is the norm now. And as such, all countries are regularly updating their, their regulations. For example, if we're talking about the UAE, there are major changes in the UAE taxation regulation. For example, in the last year, they introduced corporate tax, which is new to the UAE. Okay, they made changes to the VAT treatment of some certain products. They added an excise tax on soft drinks, tobacco, and so on. So my advice to the startups and to the SMEs is to regularly stay updated of these changes, constantly check on the government websites or whatever is available from a governmental point of view, the portals and so on, as well as always seek the expert advice. For example, in taxation, you would always need a tax expert to know what's the situation and if you're liable for anything. Like I said, these regulations actually impact your cash flow. They impact your business continuity in general. For example, the new introduction of the taxation system in the corporate tax in UAE is also followed up by penalties. If you don't pay the corporate tax, you're going to be liable for a penalty, which is, we're being honest, no one likes to be penalized for taxes and so on. This all affects your business sustainability, and it affects your cash flows as well. So my tips are, or my advice on this area is that always stay informed, stay proactive, continuously monitor these changes in the tax laws and regulations, even if it's not just the tax laws. Maybe it's something related to audits and also called other regulatory factors as well. Okay, and always engage in strategic tax planning, to adapt to new changes. Be flexible, whatever change there is, you have to cope with it and keep going. Okay, what makes this easier is maintaining accurate and organized records. So this can also be done, by the way, through AI. AI helps you organize these records and keep them, keep them well documented, well stored, and so on. Okay. You can take advantage, of course, you can take advantage of these changes. For example, you can leverage the tax credits and deductions depending on the country where you operate. And this can change depending on that. And also, what's it called? Always seek, like I said, expert advice, especially when it comes to tax, from the tax professionals, because this is one of the expenditure items that actually affect your cash flow. You need to understand whether you're going to pay your you're going to pay your taxes this year or next year. You need to know if you're operating in two countries, whether there's any bilateral agreement between the two countries. Some countries say that even if you pay tax in that country, you're going to have to pay the remaining in our country. For example, if I don't know, you're based in one of the high tax countries, like for example in the UK, and you also operate in the UAE, but your home company, home branch, and the head office is in the UK, so you have to take all the profits back to the UK. You're going to get taxed again in the UK, regardless of whether you were taxed here in the UAE. So I think this is my advice to the startups and the SMEs on this regard.
Great. Yeah, great advice. I think a few key takeaways. Firstly, it's a complex business, and it only ever gets more complex. Tax regulation never gets easier for some reason. I don't really understand why. So given the complexity, I always think of it like this. If I broke my leg, I'd go and see a doctor, because he knows how to fix it. And I don't really need to think about whether he's, what splint should I use, because he knows what splint to use. I think the same is true of tax. In my case, of finance in general, one of the first hires that external agencies that we worked with was an accounting firm that manages all of our finances and all of our taxation everywhere. Just because this is your job, right? It's your day-to-day job. It's your job to stay on top of all of the regulation, and it's your job to understand how that impacts organizations. And I think one of the things that you mentioned there that I've fallen foul of in the past is not strategically planning taxation, right? Because the impact on cash flow is just unbelievable. It's a real kick in the stomach when it comes. So some really, really good advice there. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk about that. And I think that firstly, I want to say that Osama and Manar have asked some brilliant questions in the chat, and I'm going to get to the questions just toward the end of the webinar. So guys, please stay in. And if anyone's got any other questions, please add them into the chat. Although Osama and Manar have kind of set a high standard of questions to ask, because I'm kind of interested to hear the results. So I want to stick with SMEs and move to Mohammed Alim. So how do you see SMEs in the GCC region specifically achieving operational excellence, driving transformation, and staying competitive? I mean, it's such a moving feast, the GCC, Mohammed Alim. What do you think SMEs can do to achieve all of those objectives?
Yeah, thank you, Aziz. Yeah, SMEs, if you look at SMEs now in the region, they are the disruptive or the driving new force for diversification for all economies. If you look, for example, for GCC, it used to be oil-based economy. Now, through diversification and inviting in investors, SMEs, startups, entrepreneurs, they're trying to diversify. This is happening across the region, worldwide. If you look at the United States, the biggest capital market, if you look at the West, SMEs are now the driving force for diversification of any economy. So when we look at how they can achieve their operational excellence or business excellence and transformation, I'm going to hammer down a point that mentioned by the guys earlier: technology, because technology now is not optional anymore. 5-10 years ago, it was optional. You may or may not adopt it, but now it's no longer optional. You need to find the right tools. So there is a small hiccup. It's not all technology, but you need to find the right tools, the right technology that meets your business, meets what kind of products or services do you provide, and find it so it can help streamline your operation, improve your efficiency, and even to track the performance. So by doing this, you can add analytical tools for market trends, so you can be able to respond, to be on the front foot for any trends, so you can be one of the first adopters. So the first thing I would say always is, of course, technology. There are a couple of things that each SME, regardless of the industry, can adopt. For one, as I said, technology. And number two is talking about operational efficiency. You know, for SMEs, always the main title is doing more for less. How we can do more by the resources that we have now, and how we can add the value. So by process optimization, they can, you know, reduce the redundancies, reduce the waste, cutting costs through optimizing the process, which helps at the end to improve the product or services that they provide for the client or customers. And of course, also by doing so, by making sure, you know, to the continuous improvement, they need to count on their employees. So I'm gonna fall back into the, as we say, is the biggest capital that each company has, is the human resource. So if we look, for example, SMEs versus corporates have budgets. They can, as we say, throw money at any problem, and they can solve it. They can bring in the best employees, while SMEs might have a more tight budget. So by investing in their current human capital, human resources through continuous learning, making them have the buy-in in the company itself, making them more adapting the new technology, helping them figure out and pushing innovation, so they have that sense of ownership to the work, which is going to give them, going to keep them motivated, of course, and going to give them this ownership sense. So number three is, as I said, is the human capital. Number four is leveraging data and data analytics, especially for decision making. Like everything now is small trends that's happening in exponential time. It can go this way or that way. So to focus on data analytics to make sure that all decisions are data driven, this is a key component to business excellence. And finally, we can talk about sustainability and sustainability approach. We see now that sustainability is one of the biggest trends in the world. People are looking for eco-friendly. People are looking for net zero, or say carbon positive products. So also by focusing on sustainability and being in that trend, you can see that you can achieve more and more optimizing for your operation, more and more optimizing for your resources, reducing the waste, as mentioned earlier. So these are all things that businesses, especially SMEs, especially in the region right now, because we know that it's a focus in the region, the sustainability. So by adding these points, by working in each of these points, so again, like technology can be a 2-day seminar for technology itself, or how to optimize your operation and processes. But finding your business, finding your core, then building from within, you can do, how you achieve excellence, how to transform your business into a better operating unit. That's actually what we do with all our partners, our clients. We sit down, we look at them, we analyze what they do. Then we can provide them a holistic view of the business itself and what directions they can use to achieve the excellence, to optimizing the processes, enhancing the services that they provide or products. So yeah, so it's a very big subject, and now everyone is looking for excellence. You can see that in all the companies, if you look at the website, they're going to see a badge of business excellence or as remember as the ISO. So every business trying to have that badge to show to their clients that we are leading the pack when it comes to excellence, leading the pack when we talk about transformation, making our business better. And of course, this is going to reflect on the services and products that they provide for their clients and customers.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I always tell people to focus on these 5 points: the technology, operational efficiency, their human capital, and their data and their data team, and how they can be data-driven in decision making, and finally is the sustainability approach.
100%. Fantastic. And, I think, Mohammed, like one of the things that you mentioned there, which is really valuable, particularly in the GCC and particularly in Saudi Arabia, I've noticed, is this international accreditation. Like, I think international accreditations, quality, but stamps of quality, like check marks of quality, are really, really disproportionately high value in the GCC. And I think that basically what you've given with those 5 points is like a guide to success. In like, I know that every one of those you would spend a week with a client just going through each one of those. But for anyone who just wants to take away sort of a snapshot of what they could do today, those 5 points are the 5 really key things for people to be thinking about. So guys, we've got about 15 minutes left, and I do want to make sure we finish on time, but I also want to get to some of these questions. So I'm going to go through some of the questions, and then I'm going to come back at the end to Mohammed Aleem to talk about how you or anyone, any other organizations can engage with MeGuide Consulting. So I'm going to start with Osama's question, because it's a question that for 3 years I've been debating. As a marketing agency, we're on the forefront of most of the technologies that exist in organizations, because for various reasons, marketing tends to test technologies first. So we've been using AI tech for different AI technologies for 3 years now. And the first question that anyone in my organization ever asked when we started using so the first AI tool that we used was a tool called WriteSonic, and it was essentially a copywriter, and it wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but it was certainly better and more efficient than handwriting. And at that time, we had a team of 8 copywriters in our organization. And they said, so are we all going to lose our jobs? And I said, you're not going to lose your jobs with us, because we don't fire people, but you have to reskill, right? And they all reskilled, and they reskilled into social media, and they reskilled into analytics and things like that. But that was our approach, right? Our approach was that, we have like a policy of never firing people. We always think we can get the best out of people. So Osama's question is really important, and maybe Moayed is best positioned to answer this. He's asking, do you think that AI can disrupt employability of the current workforce? Basically, do you think people are going to lose their jobs because of AI?
So if you're saying about AI disrupting the current workforce and so on, I would say definitely changing the employability of the current workforce. But is it going to make people lose their jobs? That will actually depend on the employee and the employer themselves. So, for example, AI will definitely take on tasks, as is mentioned. The AI that they used for copywriting, which could have replaced like the repetitive and automating the tasks of copywriting the articles, posts, or what they write. But then how he solved that problem by upskilling or reskilling his team to different areas where they can actually use their AI use the AI and as well as their skills on that specific area. And one of the things as well is that jobs are shifting currently. Like some of the jobs are going to be replaced by AI. I wouldn't say replaced, but more like automated by AI. So I would say for example, in the finance field, the regular accountants and the cashiers could be automated by AI. The payroll officers in the human resources could be automated by AI. And if I go to the jobs, also, I would continue talking about too many jobs, but still having these jobs getting taken out. There are like new emerging jobs and
Right.
technologies that will show up. That's when you need to reskill to adapt to the new technologies. For example, how can you reskill yourself and so on. You can adapt or you can focus on learning new skills, for example, in machine learning, AI, and data science to leverage the data analytics and to have more like predictive analysis for things that you can do. Uh, One of the things that I would actually give to all of the talents and all of the people who are looking for jobs is that to leverage the soft skills that they have, because these things could never be replaced by AI.
100%. I completely agree.
Oh,
I think that I totally agree with everything that you've said. And I think there's probably a couple of important points. The first thing is that AI is like all massive technological shifts. There is always a fear to start with, right? I remember when I was very young, this is in the 80s, right? So when I was very young, being on the subway in London and seeing a poster where there was you know, those big digger trucks that sort of dig, you know what I mean, right? Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, excavators.
excavators, thank you, right? So there was two workmen on this poster. They were sat down and there was an excavator excavating. And the first workman said to the second workman, he said, look at that machine. 12 men with shovels could be doing that machine's job. So he's basically that machine has taken the job of 11 men. And the second guy turned to him and says, yeah, you're right. But 100 men with spoons could be doing the job of those 12 men, couldn't they? So the concept is that, like, ultimately technology does always evolve. And what Muayyad really, I think, correctly articulated there is that what comes out the other end of that are new opportunities. So it's pointless shying away from the technology if it's going to disrupt you. It's better to embrace it totally and then explore the new opportunities that come out the other end. So thank you very much for that, Muayyad. So Manar, and I'm going to come to Al-Mighdad for this because I'd like to hear this from a retail perspective. So Manar is talking, she's asking about whether you use different governance frameworks if you're working in multiple countries, but she expands on her question to talk about using AI to respond in different ways to different types of customers in different countries. And I think that's an important e-commerce retail question is, how do you create frameworks that can be managed centrally, particularly for like customer responses or customer engagement, but delivered locally? And Mighdad, are you able to answer that one?
yeah. So can you repeat the final question? I was having a technical the final
no
part
problem.
of the question. Yeah.
Yeah. So how can how do you use AI, or should you, maybe is a better way of putting it, use AI to create central systems that can communicate with customers in their local market, in their local language, maybe even in their local dialect?
Yeah. So as Muayyad mentioned, and to be honest, everyone has touched on the AI topic. So the most obvious or the most spoken about use of AI is in areas of data analytics and information gathering and then analyzing the information. So with AI, you can when you look at the way businesses are run, and people say that businesses are swarmed with information, with data, but not with information. So you can leverage the AI in the areas of analyzing this vast amount of data or huge amount of data into coming up with informed decisions. You will generate a better understanding of customer needs in different regions by analyzing such data, and it can happen instantly with AI. So, and it is becoming more affordable and at the grasp of the hand. Yani, recently, getting an AI agent or having the capability capabilities of AI is becoming very easy. So I've seen websites that helps you deploy and teach an AI agent that becomes your own for free. So it's something that will definitely reshape the way you look at the market. So basically from the UAE, you can serve customers, you can understand the consumer market in China, and you can understand the consumer market in the UK easily with the quick search, and so on. So it's definitely going to reshape how you approach businesses.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much, Murtad. So last couple of questions. So Murtad has asked a really important question, which is, how do you approach business continuity planning for SMEs or startups compared to large enterprises? And I'm not sure who's best positioned to answer this, but let me just add a little bit of context to this, right? Because business continuity is obviously an ongoing and hot topic, particularly now that change happens so dramatically and so massively in countries, and so there's always like a cost. There's kind of like a cost element to this question. How do you cost effectively approach business continuity for SMEs compared to for large enterprises? Does anyone in particular want to have a go at this question?
Yeah, I can answer. So if we look to small and medium enterprises versus large corporates, the biggest difference is the resources. That, again, I mentioned earlier that big corporations have the overheads, have the finances, have the monetary power to throw money when they're facing any challenge. If that's recruiting the right people or recruiting the best experts in the world, getting in from everywhere, or buying the latest technologies that's not widely provided to the general public, for example. So yeah, when we look at the business continuity, always when we talk about the large enterprises, they always fix everything with the resources that they have. When we look at small and medium enterprises, we need to work from within. We need to look at what we can achieve, how can we achieve it with the minimum resources that we have at our disposal. So we need to focus more on optimizing our approach, more on cutting the redundancies, cutting the waste that's happening, all the jargons in the enterprises we don't need for small enterprises, and always to prioritize. Small and medium enterprises, they have this list, their core, they want to achieve 1, 2, and 3. So by having the right priorities, they can ensure that when they're navigating this complex landscape. Especially if you look now, again, in the region, especially, there is a big push for SMEs. Everyone is starting, everyone is a startup, everybody is an entrepreneur now. It's very easy to be an entrepreneur, very easy to start a company. And countries are actually بيشجعوا small business owners. So you need to focus more on your priorities, how you can differentiate yourself from the competition, what trend to follow, not all the trends, not because everybody is using a special tool in analysis, for example, you need to use it. If it does not fit your special services and products. So when we look at the large enterprises, they have this leverage. Okay, we can We can get the technology, we can use our resources, we have this overhead. But when you look at the small and medium and entrepreneurs, of course, they need to focus to have a laser focus, as we say. We have laser focus, in horse riding. The horse is in the, I must put this tunnel vision. They focus on their priorities, their goal, and only look at what helps them achieve these goals.
Fantastic. That's a great answer. I agree with everything that you said there. I think that one of the things that I come across a lot whenever I'm talking to SMEs, particularly startups, is that they tend to have this fear of the big beasts in their industry, the big beast. But what they're often forgetting is that their biggest advantage is the big company's biggest weakness. Their ability to move, react quickly, think fast, make decisions. These are all things that large organizations really, really struggle with, and the same applies for business continuity as well. There were more questions. Wahaj, one of our former employees currently making waves in Dubai, messaged, and Manar had some more questions too. But we're going to run out of time, and I do want to give Alim just the final words. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, more importantly, as well, for responding to the polls. We're definitely going to do this again because, firstly, I've learned a lot. But we'll choose the topic in the coming weeks, and so make sure you're following MeGuide on LinkedIn. So I'm going to give the final word to Mohammed Ali. Mohammed, how can people engage with you? And just my personal words on the team. Excluding myself and Mohammed Al-Hajj, you've got like more than 50 years experience in the MeGuide Consulting team collectively, and they're genuinely impact driven. They genuinely make big shifts in organizations through their knowledge, and it's like the cheat code for supercharging your business. Getting a good group of consultants who are going to work to help you achieve your goals is like a cheat code that most people think, most, particularly SMEs, they think, oh, it's just extra cost. It's not extra cost. What it is the most effective way of achieving complex solutions to your organizational issues, be they competitive, be they sales, be they marketing, be they financial or organizational or whatever. So, Mohammed, final words to you, and we'll then let everybody go.
Okay, thank you, Aziz, and thank you for everybody who's tuned in to this webinar. Before my final words, the questions, I just went through the questions in the chat. We will make sure to reach everybody with answers for it, because I know they're burning questions. So we will make sure to answer them, even through our social media or direct contact with the people who ask. How can you engage with us? Okay. Of course, we have many channels. Our website, me-guide.com. Email and our phone call you will find in our contacts. What you do is you just reach out. We will schedule a free consultation with anybody who think we're going to have a free consultation with you. We discuss your challenges, we discuss what's your goal, and see how we can fit to help you achieve that goal. So always reach out. This is a service we provide to everybody. We do not pick and choose people. So reach out, have your free consultation. And afterwards, then we can go deeper in how we can help you achieve your goals, how we can elevate your processes, how we can help you in better use your technologies and everything. So you can go through our website, see our services. You can contact us directly through email or phone call. And we are ready. We are here for you, and hopefully we can build strong alliances together.
Fantastic. Mohammed Alim, Ihab, Muayyad, Al-Maghdad, and our very own Mohammed Al-Hajj, thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you all for listening. This webinar will be published again for anyone who missed it, and we will definitely do this again. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.